What if Derrick Rose never got injured?
Derrick Rose, had he not gotten injured, would have been one of the greatest guards we have ever seen in the history of basketball.
Derrick Rose was that dude, the youngest MVP in NBA history, a hometown hero with Chicago tattooed on his heart. He had the league in a chokehold, and the whole basketball world was watching.
Too fast, too good.
Him now just making Trudeau. Oh,
did you see the move by the MVP? What a play by.
And then it was gone. One play, one cruel, twisted moment, a single heartbreaking fall that didn't just end the season. It shattered a dynasty before it even begun.
And he came down wrong on the left foot. Now, whether it was an ankle or a knee, I do not know. There's Coach Collins out there and all his teammates running. And this, with the injury, we just talked about the 26 games he has missed with an assortment of injuries, and now holding a knee late in a game that is already decided for all intents and purposes.
And I'm sure everyone around the country is going to say, wow, why was he in the time?
But what if that moment never happened? What if Rose's knees held up? Would the Bulls have dethroned the Miami Super Team? Would D. Rose have collected more MVPs like trophies? Would Carmelo have swapped the Garden Lights for the United Center? This isn't just bar debate material. This is one of the most haunting what-ifs in sports history. A sliding doors moment that changed everything. So, today we're going all in, breaking down the scenarios, the ripple effects, and just how widely different the NBA could have been if Derrick Rose never went down. But before we get into what could have been, let's talk about what was.
Joe Johnson forced into an off-balance shot. Look at Rose! Oh, he changes direction and speed, and it elevates for the jam.
2011 Derrick Rose wasn't just good. He was a human highlight reel with a side of savage. At just 22, this Chicago kid became the youngest MVP in NBA history, dropping 25 points and 7 assists a night like it was just another Tuesday, carrying the Bulls to 62 wins, the best record in the entire league. This wasn't hype or he's got potential talk. Rose was straight up dominating live and uncut. Every game he was blowing past defenders, levitating at the rim, and making pros look like pickup run extras. He was the engine, the spark, the pulse of the Windy City, carrying a franchise and a fan base on his lightning fast drives, and the wildest part, he was just getting started. But as fast as Rose rose, everything came crashing down. The fall. April 28th, 2012, Game 1 of the playoffs. The Bulls were the top seed again, primed to challenge Miami's Big Three. Rose was locked in, doing everything, scoring, dishing, controlling the game. Chicago was rolling. Then, with 1:19 left in the fourth, he drove to the hoop, planted his feet for a jump stop, and it happened.
Look, we're looking to sweep you guys. You wanted us. You were crying out that you bypassed the harder team in Miami Heat.
Rose came down bad on his left foot. See him holding onto his knee and down.
The arena went silent. A simple move, a torn ACL, season over. Chicago's hopes hit the floor harder than Rose did. The Bulls squeaked out that Game 1 win, but the vibes were off. They crumbled to the 8th-seeded Sixers in 6 games, going from title contenders to what just happened in a heartbeat. For Rose, it wasn't just a game ender. It was the beginning of a brutal saga of surgeries, setbacks, and enough what-ifs to fill a Chicago deep dish pizza.
Explain the ACL injury, how it happened, and did it affect you mentally?
Of course, the pop. I knew that I tore my shit right away. Nerves start to shaking your leg and you can't control the nerves. Like all my shit, like something really happened. I get to the MRI machine, and that was the first time I was by myself, and it hit me. Like, and what happened if this motherfucker is tore like this? Oh.
1 second, he was the future of the league. The next, a heartbreaking question mark. What if Rose stayed healthy? Now let's flip the script, as there are several possible outcomes for this story. Scenario 1, the dream run. Rose stays healthy, holds his crown as the Bulls' alpha, and Thibodeau's defense keeps suffocating teams. We're talking 55 to 60 win seasons, year after year, with Chicago in the mix as a top 3 team in the East, making deep playoff runs. If things break right, Rose's speed, Joakim Noah's grit, and Tibbs' game plan might have just cracked South Beach's dynasty. But let's keep it real with the second scenario, the cautious take. The hard truth? The East was stacked. Miami had LeBron in a final boss form. Boston's Big Three were still hanging around. And out west, the Spurs and Thunder were no joke. Even a healthy Rose dropping dimes and defying gravity might not have guaranteed a chip. The Bulls would have been contenders, no doubt, with Rose still posterizing fools and filling highlight reels, but championships are never guaranteed, even for MVPs. The paths are endless, and every single one of them feels bigger than what we actually got, the Melo question. And here's the part people forget. It wasn't just about Derrick Rose. Back in 2011, Carmelo Anthony was at a crossroads, and Chicago was whispering sweet nothings in his ear. Yeah, Melo picked New York's bright lights, but what if he had gone for Chicago's deep dish destiny? Imagine prime D Rose, the league's youngest MVP, dishing to Melo, a scoring machine who could drop buckets in his sleep. Add Thibs, lockdown defense, and you got a squad that doesn't just compete with Miami, but owns them. Rose breaking ankles, Melo draining jumpers, and Noah snarling in the paint. That's a big 3 that could have flipped the East upside down. Instead of LeBron and the Heat owning the decade, we might be talking about Rose and Melo as the duo that ran the 2010s. And it doesn't stop there. Rose was only 22 when he won his first MVP. Think about that. He wasn't even scratching his prime yet. A healthy Rose could have been in the MVP convo every year, racking up stats and wins like a kid collecting Pokemon cards. Sure, from 2012 to 2013, LeBron was playing out of his mind, putting up video game numbers and leading Miami to titles. But Rose, he had that Chicago swagger, that bet on me vibe. Another MVP? Maybe 2? It's not crazy talk. With the Bulls rolling and Rose as the face of the franchise, his name would be up there with all-time greats, not just a what could have been. It's one thing to imagine how great Derrick Rose could have been, but let's actually run the numbers. In his MVP season, he averaged 25 points, 7.7 assists, and 4 rebounds a night, while leading the Bulls to a league-best 62 wins. Now, let's use that as a baseline. Say Rose stays healthy, keeps producing at that level, maybe even improves to 10 to 15% as he hits his actual prime. Chicago keeps winning 55, 60 games, and Rose is right in the middle of it all. And it wasn't just the eye test either. Advanced stats back it up too. Rose posted 13.1 win shares in 2011, meaning he directly carried the Bulls to 13 extra wins all by himself. For context, that was the highest total in the entire league. So, if a 22-year-old Rose could do that, imagine what a 25-year-old Rose in his prime could have done. More experience, a deeper bag, a roster that kept getting better. That version of Rose doesn't just push past Miami, he could take them out. Of course, it's all speculation, but the numbers make one thing clear. A healthy Derrick Rose gave Chicago a real shot at changing the balance of power in the NBA. But beyond the raw numbers, there's another layer, how Rose's game itself might have evolved. If he had never gotten hurt, Derrick Rose wouldn't have stayed one-dimensional. He'd already shown flashes, sharper reads in the pick and roll, a growing mid-range game, and a court vision that surgically set up teammates. Give him a few years, and those flashes become habits. The explosive finishes stay, but the game gets smarter. Fewer reckless drives, more controlled aggression, more high IQ scoring when defenses collapse. But simply, Prime Rose could have been lightning plus craft, still the same downhill threat, but with improved touch, seamless pick and roll chemistry, and a cleaner jumper to punish help defenders. The evolution matters in the playoffs. When athleticism alone stops being enough, a smarter Rose could have taken over games in ways his younger self couldn't dream of. Now, imagine the ripple of that on the roster and the city. Because this isn't only about stats or matchups, this is about what Derrick Rose meant. Rose wasn't just Chicago's point guard, he was Chicago, the kid from Englewood who carried the city's dreams. If he had stayed healthy, hit his prime, and maybe even won a title, his entire culture shifts. It changes the city's relationship to the team. Suddenly, the Bulls aren't just the franchise that once belonged to Jordan. They're the franchise of a new era, led by a kid from the neighborhood. That changes everything. Free agents take notice, ticket sales skyrocket, a new generation of kids grow up rocking #1 on their jerseys. Suddenly, it's not just nostalgia for the 90s. It's a new era, with a hometown hero leading the charge. Instead of living in Jordan's shadow, Chicago gets its own modern dynasty. And that matters, not just for the record books, but for the city, the fans, and the legacy of the franchise. When you stitch it all together, the stats, the evolution, the cultural weight, are why this what if doesn't just feel possible, it feels seismic. Could Rose have toppled Miami's empire, snagged another MVP or two, lured Melo to form a super team that ruled the East, sparked a Bulls dynasty that redefined the 2010s? We'll never know for sure. But here's what we do know. Derrick Rose at his peak was special, and when he was on top, the NBA felt different.
15 seasons, Rookie of the Year, League MVP in the 2010-2011 season. The man that had Michael Jordan standing up and speaking to the crowd in Chicago saying, y'all are in good hands. We all marveled at the greatness of Derrick Rose. He is the one guy you truly look at and said the injury to his knees derailed his career. He was that spectacular.
Now, I want to hear from you. If Rose never got injured, what happens first? A championship, another MVP, or maybe a super team landing in Chicago? Drop your hottest takes in the comments. I'll be reading them. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next what if in NBA history.